Hey everybody, Charles for HumbleMechanic.com. Today I'm going to be taking your questions on safe driving, shop pranks, modified golfs, and more. This is episode 74 of the Humble Mechanic Podcast. So today I will be taking your questions that you sent in to me via email to charles@humblemechanic.com, and you put question for Charles in the subject to make sure that I know exactly what your email is about. That's how I filter my emails so I can make sure I get your questions on a show just like this. You've also probably noticed that we're inside still. We're kind of in the planning stages of the garage/shop/studio remodel. As soon as we get the ball rolling on that, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. It should be a pretty fun project, and a lot of it we're having done, but it'll be cool to watch. And hey, I'll have air conditioning out there, which will be ultra cool. It'll only be a window unit, but it's better than being 100 degrees out there. All right, let's get into your questions. First one comes from Landon. Hey Charles, I was wondering if you could do me a favor. The weather is starting to turn warm, and more people are starting to bring out their bikes. Was hoping you could do a small segment on safe driving practices, letting everyone know to be aware of bikers. The more we can get the word out, the more we can keep death and injuries down. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Landon. Yeah, obviously, with the warmer weather, people are bringing out not only their motorcycles, but bicycles. People are out walking more. It all comes down to just paying attention to where we're going. Not only on the road, on the sides of the road. Be more aware, put the phone down, quit screwing around with the radio, and pay attention to where we're driving. You know, bicycles, motorcycles, all that are so much smaller than cars, it may be hard to see. Make sure your mirrors are adjusted properly and you're scanning all the time, and, you know, look out for everybody else. So, good point, Landon. Thanks for sending that in. Okay, next up comes from Jesus. I'm going to start working at Freightliner. Awesome, man. Congratulations on that. What would you recommend me do to stand out from other technicians? Also, what to do with shop pranks? I actually did a video on that exact subject about how to stand out, so I'll put a link to that in the show notes for you guys. As far as shop pranks, it's tough. Being the new guy, you're probably going to get messed with. Hopefully it's all in good fun. I know at my shop we like to screw with the new guys quite a bit, but you know, as long as the new guy's not acting like an idiot, we tend to do it all in good fun. Seen some pretty outlandish pranks in my career, and most of them, again, are lighthearted and fun. Some of them got a little mean over the time, but that was usually with somebody that was kind of acting like an idiot. You know, if it ever, I will say, crosses the line, make sure you put a stop to it, man. It can, again, be all fun and games, but you don't want anybody to get hurt. You don't want anybody else's safety at risk. So take them with a grain of salt. Understand that for a while you are going to be the bottom of the totem pole and, you know, the rookie, so to say, and expect a little bit of hazing. But again, at a good shop, it should be all in good fun. All right, next up from Sean. Just ordered an engine air intake for my 1.8 TSI Mark 7 Golf. Will this have any effect on my warranty? All other mods I have are original from the dealer before lease/purchase. 18-inch motorsport wheels, VW lowering springs, R-style diffuser, and center exhaust. So the question is, will an aftermarket intake void my warranty? It may have an impact on your warranty. It really all depends. So let's say you install this intake and you have a problem with your right rear door not working right. Not going to have any impact on it. Let's say your tail light goes out. Not going to have any impact on it. When it does become an issue is when we have either a check engine light or a drivability concern. These aftermarket intakes really can affect the way air comes into the engine. It can tweak out airflow meters. And I don't know so much about the TSIs, but I know on the diesels, it can actually impact flow of the EGR. Now, I'm going to assume you're installing this intake without any kind of ECM tune to sort of compensate for it. So it's a sticky situation. Can it? Absolutely it can. Have I seen that happen? Yes. We've had cars where we had to make a customer take their mods off and then retest the system, and we've had some where the system still failed. We've had some where the system passed perfectly, where we could 100% say your modification is the reason that you had the failure. At that point, it's not covered under warranty. But if it's not a related component, again, it would be covered under warranty. So just be aware of it. I don't think air intakes really cause a lot of issues on our gas engines, but I have firsthand seen them cause issues with EGR flow on the common rail TDIs. So like with any modification, you got to pay to play. If you want to install these parts, I'm all for it. I think it's awesome. We're going to be picking up a new car in the next week or so, and I plan on doing a few things to it. You just have to understand that, again, you got to pay to play. If these mods impact the vehicle in any way that you would want covered under warranty, you may be at risk to not having these things covered and be responsible to pay for them yourself. I've seen a number of tuned ECMs fail And usually we can find that out whether the car's been tuned or not. And again, that's not something that's going to be covered under warranty. The good thing about ECM tunes is generally the tune company takes care of it. I've seen them take care of it before, and I've seen them decline it before. So keep all that in mind before you guys are modifying your cars. Again, I think it's awesome. I think you should do it. Just be aware and remember the phrase, you gotta pay to play. Okay, next up is from Josh. Hey, just want to say, love the videos and advice. Thanks, Josh. I had a question though. I graduated from a small tech school here in Oklahoma. I was wondering how to go about applying at a shop. Also, I'm 17. Will a dealership hire me at 17 or any shop for that matter? Thanks again for the great videos. Josh, thanks for the cool words, man. I really appreciate that. So, how to apply for a job? Dude, just go in and apply. Tell them what you did. Tell them you graduated tech school. You know, tell them all about the automotive experience you have, your love of cars, whatever it is about you that sets you apart from everyone else that went to that school. One of the questions I like to ask the guys when we interview them, especially the guys from NTI or UTI because they're just the big school, this is what I say to them. I have 100 applications that I went through. All of them look the same. Hell, mine from 2003 looks exactly like all these other guys. Automotive, brakes, engines, electronics, transmissions, you name it, they all are exactly the same. What's not on this piece of paper that would make me want to be the guy working next to you? That would make me want to hire you? And it's really a challenging question because you have that, like that's what you just did, right? You just went to tech school. But we had a guy come in and say, oh, there's not really much different about me, but in his spare time, he built robots. So that's the kind of stuff that's cool. That's the kind of stuff that, as an interviewer, stands out to me. And I remember, hell, I still remember it. It was like a year ago. So point out the things that set you apart from the other guys and girls interviewing for the job. Also, be enthusiastic, be passionate, be on time for your interview. Look professional. I know there's a lot of people that don't feel like you need to look professional to go in to apply for a job, especially in an industry that's a blue-collar industry where, we're not wearing suits and ties all day long, but man, you gotta try. Put forth the effort. It really does mean a lot to someone doing an interview. And I said interview a lot, but when you go get that application or ask for a job, that's when the interview process starts. So just remember, really jump out on that first impression in a good way. As far as being 17 and getting a job, a dealership, probably not. Usually you have to be 18 to work in a dealership. There's probably a lot of dealerships that don't require that, but it's all based on insurance. They need to be able to insure you to drive customer cars and lot cars. And to insure a 17-year-old guy, that's really expensive. So, a lot of times they'll wait till you're 18 and the insurance rates come down. So you may actually have to wait till you're 18 to get a job as a tech, but you might be able to get a job as a porter or in detail, and then once you're 18, you can step into the shop. It really all depends on the dealership. That's a question that I would definitely ask. As far as like a small independent shop or mom and pop type place, you probably could get a job. You could probably get a job, maybe not driving cars, but putting parts on or working the parts counter or doing something else. But again, that's a question that you need to ask and be very clear about with the place that you're trying to get a job. Awesome question, man. Good luck to you, and go out there and kick some butt. Okay, next up, I actually don't have the person's name that emailed it to me, but that's okay. It says, Dear Charles, I'm a big fan of the videos. I have a question for you. I have my car at the VW dealership with a bad rear main seal. They replaced it twice and are still trying to figure out why it's leaking. So they've put 2 rear main seals on and it's still leaking. I'm gonna guess that they're probably not installing the seal right. There is a special tool. It's a small cone that fits over the crankshaft that the rear main seal then slides on, and that just stretches the seal a little bit and makes sure that it gets seated on the rear main properly. I would like to believe that after the first time that it's not leaking, they would have used that special tool or taken a lot of extra care in order to get the seal installed properly, but you never know. You never know who's working on it. I've mentioned it before, even really good dealerships have a weakest link, so maybe the low guy on the pole is working on it. It also depends on how it's leaking. Is it instantly leaking? Is it taking like a week to leak again? We probably have a crank vent valve issue. I'd want to make sure that they replace the PCV valve on top of the valve cover. Or you may actually have another problem altogether. I have seen a few of the main bearing bolts back out. Normally they just cause a noise, but maybe our crankshaft's wobbling a little bit now, and maybe that's causing the seal to stretch weird. Maybe there's a burr on the crankshaft that's cutting the seal. Without looking at it, it's hard to say why they've had to put now, I guess, 3 rear main seals on this car, but they're definitely missing something, or it's a workmanship issue. I can see 1 new bad part, but not 2. That's really rare unless it's like a weird electronic issue on an ECM or something like that. But yeah, man, I don't know. I hope they get it fixed for you. Keep me updated on what they find because I'd love to know what the reason was for the continued leakage. All right, I think we got time for one more. This is from Alex. He has a 2012 GLI 6-speed manual, which just turned 60K, as well as a Mark IV Golf and a Mark IV GTI. Dude, that's an awesome round of cars, by the way. He's a VW enthusiast on his 11th Volkswagen and usually does all of his own work. He's got 2 questions. Alex, he snuck in 2 on this one, but that's okay. First question is about motor mounts. I drive my car hard and I have an ECM tune. Sometimes on hot days I can hear a clunk under the hood if I hit a pothole hard enough or even when engaging reverse. Done a visual inspection, haven't found any issues, so his question is about the motor mounts. Could it be possible at 60K the rubber has become so soft that it makes the metal clunk sound? What are my thoughts on performance aftermarket motor mounts? Any other place that I missed looking can be the culprit. Okay, so yeah, it could definitely be your motor mounts. That's a pretty new car and you're not running big horsepower. It said you just had an ECM tune, so I don't know that it's really the engine mounts causing the issue. I will say, like Black Forest Industries sells insert kits for the dog bone as well as upgraded engine mounts. That might be something you want to look at. The engaging reverse, the whole cradle is going to be moving back and forth, so the one for the dog bone might be the good one to start with. There is another thing that I want you to take a look at, and that's actually the shifting of the entire subframe. This is really common from pretty much Mark V on, where the bolts would loosen up a little bit, or someone would drop the subframe and not tighten the bolts all the way. And what's happening is the whole cradle, again, is just shifting underneath the car. It can make a pretty loud noise. A lot of times if you put your foot on the brake, put it in drive, and sort of let the car load up a little bit, and then put it in reverse and load the other way, it'll pop. What I usually do is I take a big breaker bar and go through and just snug the bolts up a little bit, and then drive it again and see what happens. That's probably where I would start. There's also a company that makes like an insert kit for the subframe bolts. I'll see if I can find it. I'll put a link in the show notes. And I've been really interested on how that would improve that situation. So check the show notes. Hopefully there's a link in there. It looks like a really cool kit. It's not cheap, but hey, if it stops your subframe from shifting, it's probably worth it. I'll also put a link to the engine mounts for your car I was talking about as well. And since you snuck 2 in, I'm gonna go ahead and answer your second one, Alex. He's got a hard starting issue. Intermittently, a car will take a few extra cranks to start hot or cold. Sometimes I run the starter for a few seconds, stop, then as soon as I run it again, it starts. No check engine light, no ECU errors, no misfires, no code stored at all. Checked it with VADCOM, and the car starts and idles fine. Okay, a couple of things. Your fuel pump may not be priming, so we want to make sure we don't have any faults for the driver's door module. Issues there can mean the fuel pump's not priming, which means it may take an extra second or 2 to start. That would probably be the place that I would look to first. Also on those 2 liters, we may be looking at a carbon issue. I've never seen that cause an extended crank, but it's something to be aware of. We may also be looking at possibly a failing fuel pump. You can check your fuel pressure with a mechanical gauge and see what it's at. Also see how it bleeds down, whether it holds residual pressure or not. So start by checking entire system faults, not just the ECM. And if you have access to a fuel pressure gauge, that would probably be the first place I'd start. Alex also says, thank you very much in advance for taking the time to answer my question. Love the show. Watch every week. Thank you very much. If you're ever in Colorado, please let me know and I would love to buy you a beer. I will absolutely, Alex, let you know, but I'm going to sneak 2 beers in just like you got 2 questions. So appreciate that, man. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you have any questions or comments, post it in the comments section below. Hey, if you like the video, throw it a thumbs up on YouTube. I always appreciate that. You can also subscribe on YouTube or on the blog at humblemechanic.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the blog, and obviously here on YouTube. Don't forget, if you have a question for a show like this, email me, charles@humblemechanic.com, and put question for Charles in the subject. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Oh, and it's like 10 a.m., so no beer or anything else today.